Hey gang, welcome back. Chef Leah with Extraordinary Artisan Table, otherwise known as Eat Marketplace in Old Town Temecula, which I always love to say is part of Riverside County, one of our biggest ag regions in the state, in partnership with MSJC and Rancho Family Medical Group. Great education, along with really understanding kitchen essentials and the health and wellness of our bodies. So, we have a surprise guest today. I'm so excited. Miss Lily Murray is going to be joining us. She's one of the youngest farmers that I know in the state of California, and she's doing a really, really wonderful service for all of us by what she does on her farm in growing good, clean, and fair food. Now, we're also going to talk about some vinegars. So pickling, fermenting, two different things. We're going to kind of dive into fermentation today. Not pickling, but when you do pickle, you have a lot of different vinegars to choose from. Not to say that I'd really use all these for pickling. I would stick with a white vinegar, which is less expensive, but that's your go-to for pickling. Fermentation is really going to be about water and salt, creating a brine. But as promised, one of the things for Kitchen Essentials is we talked about really understanding our acids, our oils, our herbs, our salts, all of that. So we're going to go over some of these wonderful vinegars. Look at this collection. It's beautiful. White wine vinegar, red wine vinegar, rice wine vinegar. This is malt, fantastic on potatoes. It's ridiculous. And then, you know, some of your fancier vinegars. This is a golden balsamic vinegar, and then this is a champagne vinegar. They all have some different values and some different flavor profiles, right? Now, if you think about these two, well, it's white wine and red wine, so those are derived from from wine, right? And one of the things that you want to remember is kind of the difference between them. Like white wine vinegar, I'll deglaze a pan. So if I, let's say, saute a chicken breast and I have, you know, some onion and some carrot in there too, well, when I take all that out, remember when you saute, you get that great fond sticking to your pan. And you could use a white wine. You could also use a white wine vinegar. The flavor is intense and so beautiful, and it lends directly to a sauce. And then your red wine vinegar tends to be a little punchier, if you will, right? And it is fantastic with red meat and in marinades. Rice wine vinegar, which is derived from rice, this won't overpower a vinaigrette. It won't overpower a dish. It's just a really nice light varietal, but it brings this slight hint of acid instead of a lot of acid, okay? All right, so malt vinegar, again, it's such an essential vinegar. It's one of my favorites. It has this, it's darker, right? And it leans towards the mellower side acidically. Like, it's so cool if you think about it. So this is a little bit less on the acidic value. These are, you know, are higher. That happens with all your different vinegars. Now, we don't have apple cider vinegar up here for you, or the distilled white vinegar, but things to think about with apple cider vinegar, it's really great for your gut. A lot of people I know take a tablespoon a day. Most any of these are, but if you're going to use the vinegar for that, I would use apple cider vinegar. And apple cider vinegar is, it's really pungent. It carries more of a fruit quality to it, but it's definitely that medium sharp acidic value, okay? And these two right here, I love to use my white balsamic instead of the dark balsamic because it's lighter, it's not as punchy, and it makes an incredible vinaigrette. I think that would be, again, a really fun thing for all of you guys to do is to try some of the vinaigrettes. Same recipe, just bring in a different vinegar and taste it, because I can't do that for you on camera. Only you can do that at home. And then the champagne vinegar. Champagne vinegar, again, it's punchy, right? But it has this beautiful floral essence to it. So these are the different vinegars. There's many ways to use them. You can deglaze pans. I really love to take cabbage and use my apple cider. And if I wanted a little bit more mellow, my rice wine vinegar. So you have your apple cider vinegar or your rice wine, and you can put that, you could toss your cabbage in it with a little bit of olive oil and salt, and you can roast the heck out of it. Great on potatoes. great for your vinaigrette. So you've got all these different ways to cook with, and also make sauces and your dressings. So without further ado, I'm gonna get all this cleaned up, and I'm gonna bring out all this great produce that we're going to ferment with, and I'm gonna introduce you to Lily. I'm so excited. All right, here we go. Awesome, I am so excited. I've been waiting for this since we started. We have one of our youngest farmers in Southern California, Miss Lily Murray, with us today. Lily, yeah, one of my favorite human beings. I've known her since she was a wee sprout. Literally, wee sprout. And she wonderful family. They're located in?
We're in Bonsall, California, growing just a few fun things right now.
They're not growing just a few fun things. They, I believe, are experimenting with the coffee bean here in the United States, which is fantastic. And she's got 2 great cats on the farm that love me, fish and chips. I kid you not. We really should have some kind of cutaway at some point, Stephen. Seriously, of the cats. That we have to make really that happen. They're adorable. Really cute. But you have chickens, right?
We have chickens. We have had ducks in the past, but right now we have chickens and 2 cats to help with bugs and pests on the farm, because it's very important to have a way to get rid of the non-beneficials.
It's called natural rodent control. So Lily, yes. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us, and that's our class right there, this camera.
Hi, class.
And I want you to tell the class and everyone watching, even with Rancho Family Medical Group, I want you to tell us a little bit about why you farm.
So I think the biggest reason why I farm is because of everything that's changing in the world. 2020 kind of changed everyone's life, and I had the opportunity to go outside, which I am so incredibly grateful for. I started planting in April. I've had food growing in my backyard that I've been able to give to friends, to give to family, to can and process, and to ship to people that I love, knowing that I am helping others stay healthy through this. And connecting with farmers and making a relationship with the farmer is such an incredible thing to do. It's my entire life. I kind of was born into it. I didn't really have an option otherwise. It's really just what I know. So I'm trying to teach people.
Your dad, I believe, was an educator. I mean, he'll be educating his entire life.
He's educating. He's doing multiple things on Zoom right now. He's on Zoom all the time, and it's adorable because he calls himself a dinosaur on Zoom to his students. And I have to remind him that he's not. He's just learning about the times changing.
So Scott's been teaching, though. I mean, he used to teach at what academy was it?
He used to teach at San Pasqual Academy, which is down the road from the Wild Animal Park in San Diego. It will always be the Wild Animal Park.
There we go.
And he was teaching agriculture. I think he was there for about 8 years. He taught agriculture, and these are kids who are in the foster care system. So it's teaching them about the importance of growing food and having a connection to the earth that a lot of people don't really do anymore. And it's such a valuable thing.
Yeah, or maybe that you weren't taught,
yeah.
Right? So you grew up in this. Your dad's an educator. He's been a farmer his whole life. But so then your mom she's certified. She does the certification for farms for organic, correct?
So she is an inspector with one of the companies in California that helps people keep their farms and get their farms into the organic program, which is really, really important.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it is just an educational thing. So she's always learning and bringing what she can home to tell us about what she's seeing out in the world. Yeah. And there's so much going on just around here that you guys might not even know about.
Well, I think part of what we're going to get to do is hopefully take a trip to your farm. And I know that it's like fall going into winter and there's not a lot happening and there's cover crops, but to just even see how you've terraced the farm and to have a discussion around terroir, right? And the dirt and what that all means. But we're going down a bit of a rabbit hole. More importantly, I wanted all of you to really understand Lily's foundation in food and why she farms. I mean, it's just such a beautiful thing to know that we have a younger generation in farming, because I believe that we have this whole sect of farmers that we're losing, right?
They're dying out, literally. We have
I think the
such
youngest part
a lack of farmers right now. We have elders who have been doing this their entire life, and they're in their 70s and 80s, and that's the highest percentage of farmers.
Yeah.
And then we have young kids who are getting interested, but it's not really, unless you have the opportunity to create a gigantic farm, it's not really something that's going to pay the bills. It's something that is incredibly important that you need to know how to do, but it's something that really is a generational thing that needs to be passed down, and there's a disconnect. There's a huge disconnect.
There's a huge disconnect in our food system.
Yeah.
And that disconnect leads us to hospitals, leads us to sickness, leads us to mental health, brain health, disconnect, all of that. It leads us down this crazy rabbit hole of disease in the United States, not only for us, but for our landscape, our agricultural landscape, the dirt in which grows our food. We start to lose all those microbes, all that great bacteria, right? Which will take us into a bit of what we're doing today. Lily loves to jar, she loves to pickle, she loves to ferment. You make jams too, don't you guys?
I have made jalapeno serrano jams in the past couple months. I have been pickling a lot more than preserving, but I'm really interested to get into preserving more because I know how important it is for us, because everything stems from gut health.
Oh my gosh, did she just say everything stems from gut health? I want to kiss your whole face, but it's like COVID right now and we can, and good thing that you are like very sectored off and healthy, and I know that you've been tested and so have I. We're really, really conscientious of that, and I want to thank you for that. So when we're talking about fermentation, it's different than pickling, right?
Yeah.
So pickling is a lot of different vinegars and spices, and it's still awesome and wonderful, sometimes sugar, salt. Fermentation is a brine. It's a salty water brine. There's no vinegar involved. The whole point of fermentation, and you can add into this if you like, if you feel I'm missing anything, the whole point of fermentation is that you're breaking down your food so it can come alive with the good bacteria. Basically what it does is it kills off the bad bacteria, fermentation, and it allows the healthy bacteria to thrive. And I think that that is so fascinating, and I geek out on it hardcore because it's like, why did we stop? Why did we stop jarring and pickling and fermenting food?
It's a generational disconnect.
It is a generational disconnect for sure, because really a lot of it came about in the 50s and the 60s, really the 50s, with microwaves, TV dinners. We stopped fermenting, gang, because it just wasn't cool. It wasn't that cool food market trend. The TV dinners were, right? Granny was doing it, so I'm not gonna do it.
Yeah.
So now what we're seeing is this full turnaround where basically this wave coming back that, oh my gosh, jarring, fermenting is popular, let's do it. But it's also becoming popular again because people are so much more aware and want to be aware of their health. They're choosing health. That's why we're seeing huge spikes in sales in kombucha, right? That's a fermentation process. Sauerkraut, beets. Matter of fact, I think we have some, Lil. Let's bring them out here and just talk about them for a second. These, by the way, Lily just brought these from her farm, and we're going to actually use these a little later on. So this is cracked open because I literally have a tablespoon 3 times a day. I'm not kidding. Because having a fermented foods done right have a great amount of probiotic in it. And that is just great for your microbe. It's great for your gut health. Your microbe is your gut, right? And we know that it is, well, it's estimated, again, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a doctor. I want to be, I'm not. I am a food doctor and you're a farm doctor. Okay, so it is estimated that 80% of your immunity is in your gut. 80% of your immunity lies in your gut, so why aren't we taking care of it? That's why fermentation is coming back and it's so popular. And I get really excited about it. But it's just so delicious.
Stems from it. Yes, it is so delicious, and I think that there are some gateway fermentations because this is kind of hardcore.
Okay, tell them.
This is kind of hardcore. I have been eating this kind of stuff my entire life, and I have friends who think I'm absolutely crazy.
Oh, I was called a witch doctor by one of my neighbors. She's like, stop trying to push all this food on me, you're a witch doctor, but now she does it.
See, that's the thing. It's just about introduction into your life. It's something so simple. Yeah. And if you've ever had Korean food, you've had kimchi. It's inevitable. It is so good for you. And it has, I mean, I think it has the best flavor ever. I love kimchi. And sauerkraut is incredible for your body. And it's something that's made in a crock in the corner of your house. You don't look at it for a long time, and then you open it up and it's this incredible thing. And it's so important to have it.
So we'll do close-ups of this in a bit, but I just want to point out that these all have different things. So this is kind of just straight up beets. This is some cabbage. This has carrots, cabbage, and I believe it has seaweed. And then we have ginger, and this one right here has lemon, apple, ginger, and this one beet? Sauerkraut. So it's not, it's cabbage. So, and then, right, and then kimchi, so classic, it's been around forever. Now, I want to point something out that's so, so important. We want to basically do a few things with you today. One, I wanted you to meet Lily because she's so important. She's such an important part of the fabric of our community. Without people like this, we don't get good, clean food, and then we can't take care of our health. So that's the first and most important thing, is this lovely human. And thank you for being here.
Of course.
I just do love you and your whole family. And I'm going to start crying because every time I think about you guys on that level, like what you guys do for our world marketplace is so, so important. So there's that, right? Have an emotional moment. But taking care of your gut, right? So let's say you go to the grocery store and you're going to buy a fermented food. I want you to be really wary of things that can be hidden in cheap, processed cheap, but yet expensive fermented foods. Sugar. Lots and lots of sugar. Don't buy fermented food if there's sugar in it. Stay away from it. And then secondly, we're going to get into salts a little bit later, but I want you to understand something about salt. A regular table salt that you get at a restaurant, or that comes in that little cute girl with the umbrella. Okay, that is pure sodium, right? Yes. Salt is a wonderful thing, guys. If you take Himalayan salt, it has 72 different minerals. 72 different minerals. Flaky sea salt has over 100 different minerals. These are minerals that are really good for your body. If you just look at this and it's like, oh, salts, well then look at the sodium level on the back. You want to stay away from sodium and sugar. Salt, good salt, does not just equate sodium. Good salt has minerals in it. And we'll go over that later. So, okay, so what are you doing?
So I have the salt here. This is Himalayan salt that we are going to be adding to make our brine.
So what do we want to do with the brine though?
You want to bring it up to heat, let the salt dissolve, and then let it cool fully.
Okay. It doesn't have to boil. You just want to heat that water enough for the salt to dissolve, right? And then it has to be cool when you're putting it in the jar, because hot water will kill all the good bacteria. We don't want to kill the good bacteria. This is about a live food. Alive foods like nuts and grains, and soaking them and sprouting them, that creates a live food. That live food has so many great microbes in it, right?
It's easier for your body to digest it.
Yes. It sets your body up to digest even the foods you're eating with it better. It breaks them down, and there's this great absorption rate that happens with fermented foods. And we're going to continue to talk about that because we want to answer those questions. We want to answer why ferment, how do you ferment, and we already talked about how fermenting food can be bad for you, which is the store-bought with the sugar and the salt, the sodium, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So let's keep an eye on that because we don't want it to get it too hot. You brought peppers.
I brought peppers.
All right, so do you want to grab a few?
Some of these gorgeous.
So grab the one, you can cut those. I don't know, a little spicy. And then I touch my eyes and my face afterwards. It happens every time. And then I get spice face, I call it. Okay, so we're gonna do beets and we're going to do cabbage. And I really want everyone to learn how to ferment at home. You can do it in a crock. You can do it in jars. The thing is, you want it to be anaerobic right? We actually talked about that in our health and sanitation class a little bit. You want to not have air in it, so you're going to need some kind of weight. A lot of people already have some of this equipment at home. It's totally old school.
Yeah.
So you can use a crock, and it takes 7 to 10 days at a cool room temperature, like in your house in a darker area, like a storage area. You don't want it to get warm.
Don't put it on the kitchen windowsill.
Don't put it on a kitchen windowsill.
Win.
So 7 to 10 days, no air. You want to pack your jar out. You could put some kind of weight on it if you don't have professional equipment. And the reason why we're teaching you this and going over this with you is because some of these jars are up to $23. Some of them are $8, some are $14. Like, it's a little crazy. And food should always be affordable in my mind. Good food, food that is good for your gut, should totally be affordable. You can make this at home, okay? And it accents so many sandwiches. I actually made it for everybody on set once. I'm like, here's a turkey sandwich with a bunch of fermented beets on it. And
it's so good for you.
Was it good, you guys?
Fantastic.
See, Cody's like, it was fantastic. All right, so you're gonna do some peppers. I'm gonna get some garlic and some ginger and turmeric going. And then we're gonna do, ooh, let's just bring this whole thing over here. Let's talk about this for just a second.
Okay.
Okay, different cabbage. Oh, we have an above, I think we have an above camera, right, Steven? Okay, so we have red cabbage, we have Napa cabbage, Chinese cabbage, right? And then just your chou vert, which is your green cabbage. There's a little French for you.
But look at how beautiful that is. There you go.
Oh, that is gorgeous. And then we have some fennel, we have some dill, we have an orange in here. So these are all the different things that you can use. You could throw carrots in here too, but I think that we decided we're going to do a little bit of a cabbage mix up with some ginger and garlic, and we're going to do
some spicy beets.
And then some spicy beets with some
jalapenos and serranos.
I'm going to let her finish it. Okay.
Because she's not going to touch them.
I'm not going to touch it because I touch my eyes.
So
are we good?
We are almost fully dissolved, so I'm going to turn it off and let it cool.
Okay, so we have a couple things up here ready to go. We have our brine cooling. We have some ginger and some turmeric. We have some bay leaves. And we have some peppercorns. We have an orange. We have a beautiful amount of fresh organic dill. And we're going to use all of this. We're doing 2 different batches. We're going to do cabbage. Lily's already started the peppers. And our beets are peeled. We took the top and the bottom off and we peeled them really well. We have a golden and a red. And are we going to mix them? I guess it doesn't matter, but if you want it to be pretty and be all clear, you're going to want to keep the yellows in their own jar. Maybe we'll do that for fun. We'll see. And the red are just going to bleed all over the place. You know that.
They will dye anything you put in the jar with them, just so you know it's normal.
And the hands.
And your hands, and your teeth, and your lips, all of it.
Okay, so I'm going to get this ready like we know. Oh, and look at her knife skills. She's got that bear claw. She's got that connection, right? Love that. All right, here we go with the garlic. Loud noise. Ooh, that was really loud. We're going to put some whole cloves in here. We're just going to take that paper off. I think we all know the drill with garlic. This is for you, Miss Lily.
Thank you.
So Lily, tell us about what's going on the farm right now. I know you said you have a cover crop, right?
So we are about to plant a cover crop. We just got 5 pounds. I live on an acre. So one of the biggest misconceptions about farming is that you need so much space to grow food when you really don't. My dad's thing that he always tells people, if you have a windowsill or a balcony, you can have a little garden. You can have one box. They sell them at all the home improvement stores. You can have one little box with whatever plants make you happy. So we have 1 acre, and I'm getting turmeric spit all over me. It's wonderful. We have 1 acre, and we are about to convert it over from this summer tomatoes, bell peppers, eggplant, to winter, which is more like Brussels sprouts and peas and cabbage and broccoli. And before we do all that, we will be converting parts of the farm just to have a cover crop on them, which will sequester carbon and bring nitrogen back into the soil, which is so incredibly important.
You got to break this down. So a cover crop. I can't even say that all super fast. How to say it again?
So a cover crop is incredibly important to bring your soil back to its highest health point before the next season of planting. So last year we did a cover crop on the section that I planted tomatoes in this year. And that cover crop then gets tilled into the soil.
Because it sequesters carbon? Is that that's what?
Well, it sequesters carbon on top of being really beneficial for the soil, because your soil is a living being that needs to be fed, and it needs to have all of the good microbes in it to create healthy food. So if you don't have soil that's strong, you don't have food that's strong, that doesn't make us strong.
Just like your gut, right? The two go hand in hand. That is the best way to break that down. I absolutely am just enamored by that whole statement. I do.
She loves me so much.
Okay, so Lily, what are you doing with the beet? How are you going to cut it? You're going to cut planks?
So I took the beet, I peeled it, cut the stem portion off and cut the top portion off, and then I cut it in half, and then I cut it into planks so it will fit in the jar more easily. So pieces like this.
So for knife skills, remembering our knife skills and being safe, right, with the knife in the kitchen, is that she cut that surface so it doesn't wobble, and then she cut it in half, and then she just went down the side and made planks. And I know you're going to cut that again, and you can show everybody, and I'm going to help you. We can get one jar done.
And beets are something that is a very strong root, so you really need to be careful when you're cutting them and use your knife skills, because they will surprise you, always.
I'm going to cut here so I don't cut you.
Okay, we got the reds. Yeah, this guy is.
So your root vegetables, your turnips,
Look how beautiful they are.
That is
already
gorgeous.
Died from touching the red beet.
Your celery root, your beets, give us some other root vegetables.
Parsnips.
Parsnips,
carrots.
Right? They're all super fibrous, so they're going to be a little bit more difficult to cut through. So that's when you really want to have some stabilization when you're cutting into them. Also with fermenting, you guys can cut these into strips, like that julienne, that matchsticks. You can also cut them into big cubes. You do what you want to do. Yeah. You can also shred these, right? Let me grab you can shred and end up with, let's see here. I know we've got an overhead camera.
Oh,
so by shredding, you're going to end up with this, right? There we go. Look at that color. It's so gorgeous. All right, so we have a bunch of different jars. You can use any kind of jar. You can use, if I may, Lil, sorry. You can use a recycled jar, which I keep all my glass jars at home. And you can use this, you can use a brand new one, you can use short, you can use whatever you want. I like big jars too, because this will feed me for quite a while, and my family and my friends, because I have an elderly mother. She's, oh my goodness, Scotty, I'm not even going to say how old she is past.
I'm sure she'll be happy.
A young 80. And I really like to make sure that my mama and my sister and my daughter G keep their gut flora safe. Yeah, right?
Definitely.
You were saying earlier that this is fantastic for kids too. This is such a great look at this. Look at everything we have. I mean,
all the colors.
This is awesome. Like all these different beets. Let's get it all in here real quick. I know we can get an overhead shot here, right? All of this, just think about the 3, 4, 5-year-olds, the young kids, how much fun they would have putting these together. Like, Lily, what are you doing? Tell me what you're doing.
So I have started on packing the golden beets into the jar. So trying to keep as little space in the jar as possible and just really push everything down.
And super clean jar, right?
Super clean jar. Always wash your jars.
I personally like to put the boiling water in mine, let them sit, you know, for a spell.
Sterilize them.
Sterilize it, yeah. So I love fennel with cabbage. So I've got fennel in the bottom of mine. I'm going to steal some garlic, a couple bay leaves, get that down at the bottom, a couple peppercorns. And then as I put my different cabbages in, I'm going to layer them. So I've got my Napa cabbage. So I'm going to put my red cabbage, and you want to make sure that they all come apart too, right? You don't want to put that big chunk in there. So be careful of that, because what will happen with those chunks is air. Air will get in there, and it could ruin the fermentation process.
Mess up your process.
All right, I want to get a little bit more fennel in here, right? Pushing that down. Get all these beautiful layers. Hey, can I steal some of your ginger?
Please.
I'm going to put a little ginger in here in the middle. I'm going to go now to just my Chinese cabbage. I'm going to go back to red.
Gorgeous.
I'm making a big mess, but
That's the fun of cooking.
It is the fun of cooking. My fennel, get another bay leaf in there. I am having a really good time, by the way.
Too. This is great.
Let's talk about a couple different things. This is good for everybody, all ages. This is fantastic for our children to start them young, right?
Yeah.
And as we age, our guts, for our elderly community, we digest foods differently. Mm-hmm. So to aid in the digestive process, right, and to break down those foods and really to have your body garner all that nutritional value that's in here, there's a couple different things. If you aren't used to eating fermented foods, you want to tell us
them slowly.
Why?
But introduce them into your diet because it's a toxification process.
It's a detoxification process, right? Yeah. So your body will automatically start detoxing like crazy with things like kombucha and fermented foods. And what can happen is you can get really gassy and bloated, and it's going to turn you off of eating these foods. And also fermented foods with some of the great enzymes that are in there, it's going to latch on to heavy metals, and it's going to pull it out of your body for you. So you can actually kind of start to feel like you're getting a little detoxification flu.
Yeah, it's just introducing something new into your body. Anything new that you introduce into your body, you should do it slowly and do it in a way that you know for yourself it will be beneficial.
Absolutely. So important. Anything that even if you start a keto diet or you're going off coffee, any of that, you always want to introduce it to the body slowly. Also, the thing with fermented foods, some people, like my daughter, definitely a little turned off by the flavor of it. But the thing is, you have to give your palate, your taste buds, your body a minute to catch up. Yeah. If you think about what you liked at 10, 16, 30, your palate adjusts, your palate changes because you're introducing things to it. It doesn't just change for you. You are the one introducing different foods and flavors, and your palate catches up. It will also catch up to fermented food. I have about 4 to 6 tablespoons every single day. And I notice when I don't have it, I'm just a little lethargic.
There's a lull. There's kind of a lull. Your body needs it.
It does. It's brain food. It helps. Let's talk about some of the things. Let's talk about some of the vitamins.
All the vitamins.
A, K, B, C are some of the biggest. Can I say biggest? That's weird. Anyway, contains the most. There we go. That's a better way to verbalize that. Contains. These are some of the vitamins that I suppose have a higher concentrate, right, in fermented food. And so C is great for the immunity. And
incredibly important, yeah.
So important to have that defense right now. You guys, this right here, remember, it's like up to 80% of your immunity is here, so keeping this super strong helps defend against disease.
Well, and there are vegetables that are higher in vitamin C than an orange, which is what we're taught, that oranges are super good for you, but they're so high in sugar, and there are things like broccoli, which are higher in vitamin C, and your body can take that vitamin C more easily than from the sugar in an orange. So it's just those little things to be conscious of, because like when you get sick, people always say, oh, have a glass of orange juice. but it's one of those things that's actually not beneficial for you.
Yeah, I'm like biting my tongue. I'm like, it's filled with sugar.
It's filled with sugar, and it will create more mucus versus having something that's a probiotic or having something like broccoli, which I know it sounds strange, but it's so good for your body to have different sources of vitamin C that come from different vegetables.
It's very true, and like we do, like we're taught certain things. You gotta, I'm just gonna take a step out. I'm gonna take a little leap and say some of the food pyramid and some of the things we've been taught governmentally aren't always exactly respectfully. I'm sorry. Should I apologize? I shouldn't apologize. I don't have to apologize. No. It's not totally accurate. A bell pepper has more vitamin C. A red bell pepper has more vitamin C than an orange does. Yeah. You eat one of those a day, that will definitely help keep the doctor away. Okay, so understanding our microbes, understanding good bacteria, good flora, how to keep that all healthy. Yeah. This is part of it, and it's so exciting. So we're going to get back to what you have to do with how to make, how to create your fermentation jars. So if you see overhead here, our boards are a little messy. Just go with it. All right.
We're having fun.
Look at this. You see what Lily's done? She's done her best to really pack it full so there's no air. You can put, so in my world, like at home, I don't, because I leave everything at the kitchen. Yeah. I don't always have my weights. You can buy kits that have weights, crock pots, that these clay, right? They're little fermentation pots.
Yes,
they have
not crock pots.
Sorry, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
That's why she's here, keep me on track. Gosh. Okay, so the point is, and I just touched my hand, so I've got to wash my hand before I get my hand back in there. I touched my face. Oof. It's a no-no. It's a no-no with this. So listen, you really want to make sure that I have to finish the top of this and just try to fill it as much as possible. Mm-hmm. I'm going to grab a couple whole cabbage leaves, or you could use a kale leaf, a fibrous kale leaf, and really get it in there. So if you have to pull that out at the top and that wasn't fermented, everything else below will.
That bottom layer will be safe.
I'm going to let you start doing that. I'm going to go wash my hands.
Okay. So I am just using the cooled brine, and I'm going to pour it over the jars and fill them up.
Smells really good too. Oh, you know another thing we can do, or you can do at home? I forgot about it because I had it soaking. You can put apple in with the cabbage or the beets. It's amazing. I want you to see this though too. I'm soaking my apple in a little bit of white vinegar. I did that because I want to get the wax off, because when these go to grocery stores, if you're not getting this at a farmer's market, gang, there's just going to be wax. You can still see it all over your fruit, and honestly, I don't want that. I don't want to eat wax. So vinegar is one thing that will take the wax off. So you're going to soak you can soak your fruit and your vegetables at home in a sink full of water with a 1/4 cup of peroxide. Or you can also use a 1/4 cup to a cup of white vinegar, and that will pull a lot of the pesticides and the herbicides.
And you will be surprised at what comes out of your food, which is also a really important thing that you should know, is to always, always wash your food, because it's from a farm. I mean, I have bugs in things I grow because I grow organically, and we don't spray in ways that would kill those bugs. On organic farms, you do spray. That's one of the things that's a common misconception about organic food. There are sprays, but they are all biodegradable in a way that will not hurt the ecosystem of the farm. And that's something that's so important for people to know, that there are bugs, they occur naturally, and there are really good bugs that are beneficial to your system. So I released praying mantis on the farm this year because they will eat the smaller bugs that are growing on my plants, like aphids.
So this is, you know, we've talked about this before, right? We even talk about this in class. This is something I talk about, eat all day long. That just because it's organic doesn't mean, it says organic on there, doesn't mean that it's clean, doesn't mean that it's healthy for you, right? Organic farming still uses some pesticides. Some farmers who are regenerative, who are biodynamic within their practices, do not. Right? And so you have to wash everything. I continually talk about strawberries, like our berries, our celery. They are the 12 dirty dozen. You want to name a few of the dirty dozen? Strawberry, celery, biggest ones. You take strawberries, wash them with a little bit of salt. You'll see everything float off, including these little micro worms, right? You don't want that stuff in your body because you're not, why do all of this if we're not washing our food and treating our food properly, okay? We're going down a rabbit hole, but c'est la vie. Ooh, you're gonna get it in here. Let's do this first. There you go. You get it, there you go. This is gonna be my weight, by the way. But you'll see how little liquid this takes. You can actually, you don't want to just pour it in, take that over here. Let's pour that in the top. It doesn't take a great deal of liquid because of the mass of cabbage that we have in here. And that's it. Look at that. We've taken up all of that space with our vegetable, and the liquid comes right here to the top. So I'm just going to go ahead and put that lid on real quickly. We made the biggest, most beautiful mess here. I absolutely love this. I'm going to clean this up just a tiny bit. So Lil, is there anything you want to add around fermentation or?
Think about fermenting what's in season. So beets are coming into season right now. That's something that a lot of people have a disconnect with in the world, is eating what's seasonal. And that is so beneficial for the ecosystems and the farms in the area. You need to know that there are things that go out of season. They will always be at the grocery store. That's something that is not even really talked about anymore because we're so accustomed to having everything we want all the time.
We're spoiled.
We're very spoiled. Go to farmers markets, support small local farms. Just do it. They're in your area.
Eating in season is very beneficial for you in many, many ways. So again, I want to touch on a few things before we wrap this up. One, I want to just...
It's not closed.
I know it's not closed. I know, I can feel it. She's like, it's not closed. What are you doing?
I'm just going to close it over the sink
real
quick.
Close it. Okay. Ice me so it doesn't go all over the floor. Everything else is all over the floor.
No, thank you.
So I'm going to wait for Lily to come back. And we're going to close fermentation with, I want to make sure, so I always talk about mise en place when you start. I also have pages of notes because I don't like to forget anything for you. So we talked about the history, right? And then we talked about how to ferment. We also talked about what not to purchase with fermentation, the sugar. Be wary, right? Yeah. How easy it is to do at home, how good it is for your gut, to introduce it slowly, to eat in season, and then all the different vitamins that are in this. I mean, we talked about dementia. Fermented foods and getting used to them are great for dementia. Food can heal you, gang. Yeah. Inflammation, depression.
Yeah, turmeric, the things that we put in these jars. Turmeric is so good for inflammation and stress relief. It's one of the interesting ones they just found. And it's a pain reliever. It's a natural pain reliever. So
it's great for joint pain.
Great for joint pain, great for dyeing your hands orange.
They really are.
Yeah, they really are.
All right, so listen, in closing, and we've talked about this quite a bit, the choices you make by the food you purchase, being knowledgeable about the food you purchase and what is in it is directly linked to your health, right? We have a saying that, would you rather give your money to the farmer or to a hospital? Which one is it? I personally would rather give my money to a farmer that's doing it correctly, so I know that I can take care of myself and my family, all of you around me. So be careful with the choices that you make around food. Be aware of your ingredients, this crazy list on the back. If there are too many words that you cannot pronounce, please stay away from it. Okay, thank you so much.
I had so much fun today. Thank you for having me.